Let's square it up, frame it up. Look at what we've got here. A small block of semi-dwarf apple trees put in as part of the Life Lab Kids Garden. These trees are self-grafted in 2008. Oh, by self-grafted, I don't mean they grafted themselves, but rather we grafted them ourselves. Rootstock and scion, the root system and the bearing part of the tree. And so our aim was to pick varieties and rootstocks that were semi-dwarfing or not too vigorous, and to grow and train and prune them horticulturally in a manner that reinforced short trees. And by and large, I would say, well done. So here we are in the end of April 21, and these trees are in bloom, but not fully so. And let me just say, wow, that's late. We're having a late spring. It's taken a long way home here, but we'll get there. And you can see by this tree, which is incidentally a little, actually it's a big crab apple, but don't be discouraged by the crab aspect of the crab apple. This is a sweet, tart little treasure, and even kids like it. A little apple like this, I like it when it's in harvest season. I put a couple, three in my pocket in the morning, I walk around and little snack during the morning like that. So, but it's a marvelous, sweet, tart little apple and prized by cider makers. If you say, hey, I got some Wixon's crab apples, they'll say, how much you got? How much can I pay you for it? Very desirable for making hard cider. Tree size is determined largely by two factors. And one is genetic and one is horticultural set of factors. The genetics, there are dwarfing and semi-dwarfing rootstocks. These are, the rootstock is the basal portion of the tree trunk and the root system. And through just natural selection and very much through conscious breeding programs, people have developed a whole range of dwarfing and semi-dwarfing rootstocks. Let's just stipulate that a full-size tree will be, in the realm of apples as we have here, will be about 30 feet tall. Not really practical. Well, it's good for putting a swing in and having kids swing on it, and you can sit under the tree in the shade and drink a mint julep and read a novel or something like that, but not very production practical. So the rootstock selections that are available to you, particularly in apples, are more diverse than any other species of fruit. You have full-size trees, yeah, but not really. And you have semi-dwarf down to true dwarf trees. A true dwarf tree would be a rootstock like M27 or P22 or M9, and it would give you a 4-6 foot tree. And that's size manageable. The trouble with those rootstocks is they sometimes tend to underperform, especially in organic systems, and especially if your soil isn't the best or your care the most spot on. So the tree, as growers say, runts out. You get a little tree, you get a few apples, no great shake. So moving up a little bit along the gradient, semi-dwarf trees are probably where you want to go. You can control tree size, you can end up with a 6, 8, maybe 10-foot tree, depending. And yet there's enough vigor in that tree that it produces well. These trees are on a rootstock called M7. It's kind of smack dab in the middle in terms of full size to dwarf, and will generally yield a tree that's 8, 10, 12 feet tall. Now we've gone to measures to make these trees shorter by picking weaker varieties that don't grow as vigorously, no matter what rootstock they're on, and by horticultural means. So there's the genetics of the rootstock that you choose that will largely determine tree size. And then there are horticultural means that you can control tree size with. One is, if you look at this tree, it's a good example. The lower you start your branching on a tree, the shorter the tree will be. And this is a very good job. The lower branches start a foot and a half off the ground. You know, enough clearance you can get under for compost and wood chip application, all that, but down like that. Another thing you can do is grow the tree more to an open center form. Open center trees can be controlled in terms of height more easily than the central leader tree. So these are open center trees. A principal horticultural mean to control tree size would be a principle called leader replacement or cutting to weakness. There's a bunch of examples on this tree. Let's look at a few here. If we look at this branch here, tops out at about 6 feet, beautiful. But if you look down here, you'll see the stem scar from where we lopped off a very vigorous upright branch previously and redirected growth to a weaker outlet and more flat and coming out like that. There's another subsequent one here, and it goes around the tree in that regard. The tree will grow up, and at some point you say, enough already, let's look for a weak replacement. You go down the branch, look for something that cants out to the side, is less vigorous, and the flatter it is, the more fruitful it will be, and you eliminate the original leader, and you have a weak replacement like that. It's very effective means to stop a tree. When a tree is young, you do a lot of heading cuts on it. That is, you cut branches back up maybe a half their length each year. To heading cuts generate growth, and you want to do that. You want to do that as quick as you can to generate growth, to create the tree. Once you get there, it's whoa, let's put the brakes on a little bit, and then you go to using this leader replacement or cutting to weakness technique. Another technique, and this doesn't matter if you're a school garden orchardist, home orchardist, or commercial orchardist, you really do put a premium on manageable tree size. But one way you can achieve that is by closer spacing of the trees. Trees seem to have this innate sensitivity to know about restrictions. As the roots go out and approach, say, the trees of their next door neighbor, they put the brakes on. Less root system, less water nutrient uptake, less growth. Now, I don't mean to the point where the tree is stunted, but just a little bit of tree size control. So these trees are on about 6-foot centers. Normally, this rootstock M7 and these varieties, this is again Wixon's crab and this is Hauer pippin, would be spaced 10, 12 feet apart. So by pushing the margins a little, bringing them in a little closer together, they sense that and it restricts their growth.